Welcome back. Today we've got a box from Jerry's Artarama, one of my favorite stores to buy art supplies online. They are a pretty darn great company when it comes to prices. They are where I get the majority of my art supplies. And today I've got a lovely package right here that we are going to open up together. Let's see what we have here. Woo-hoo-hoo! Today, my friends, we have got paint. We're gonna go through each one of these paints. This is my some of the colors on my preferred palette, the colors that I'm always using. And I also got, I think, a few experimental colors because it's good to reach out and adjust your palette and sample some things just for fun. You never know what colors are going to do when they are added to your palette. All right, we are gonna start out with this guy right here, Titanium White by Williamsburg. So I prefer titanium white over zinc white and flake white. Flake white is lead white, and that's potentially dangerous if you were to ingest it, right? You don't want to eat lead. I tend to be a pretty messy painter, so I always wear gloves because some of the pigments that I do choose to use are carcinogenic, so I want to make sure that I don't consume them because I get a little chaotic in the studio. But this titanium white is excellent. I love the consistency of it. It's an opaque white, so you can kind of thin it out with linseed oil and some other mediums to make it more translucent, but it's probably not a good idea if you want to ensure that your paint doesn't crack. Titanium white, this is pure titanium white, PW6. Always check on the back of your whites, because if it's cut with zinc white, which I avoid like the plague, then it is going to cause a ton of issues over the course of your painting career. If you're using zinc white, your paintings will crack and even peel off the canvas. I don't know why they still sell it. Actually, I do know why they still sell it. It's because it has a translucent quality, just like flake white does, but it isn't lead. So people think, oh, I'll just use zinc white. But your painting is gonna fall apart if you use that. So next to lead white, this is the best one to use for its archival properties. It will stay together and mixes so well with all of my paints. Yeah, it's just my favorite pigment, my favorite white. So this is always on my palette. All right, next up, I'm gonna close my eyes. Cadmium lemon. Being a cadmium pigment, it is carcinogenic. You have to wear gloves, or I would highly suggest that you wear gloves. Unless you don't care about cancer, then go ahead, don't use gloves. But I definitely don't want cancer. So I wear gloves whenever I'm using this because oftentimes I do like to smudge with my fingers. Just mixing on the palette, I always get a little bit on my hand, and I plan to do this for the rest of my life. So if I were to get that in anything else, on my shirt, on my hand, on my sandwich, it's just bound for trouble. This cadmium yellow is a particularly cool yellow. When I'm organizing my palette, I like to put it right next to my white because it's the coolest yellow, even though yellow is on the warm side of the color wheel. It is the coolest of the yellows, and it is also the lightest. So if I'm arranging my palette in a value scale, I put titanium white, being my lightest pigment, and then right next to that I have cadmium yellow. And when I'm mixing up a warm yellow, I will literally put just a touch of cadmium lemon in with some titanium white, and it warms it up and prevents that chalky look with some titanium whites. That's cadmium lemon. All right, let's see. Ooh, okay. So I've got permanent alizarin crimson. So the key to this color is it isn't just any alizarin crimson, it's permanent alizarin crimson. If you were to purchase the first one on Jerry's Artarama or on any website selling Winsor & Newton paints, the first pigment that comes up says alizarin crimson. Now, if you were to buy that one over this one, you're gonna run into so many issues. That one is not light fast. If a pigment is light fast, it will outlast light damage, and the pigment itself will not fade over time. Whereas if something is not light fast, that means if you were to hang a painting next to a window, well, everything that is mixed with this red will disappear. So all the red pigment will come out and everything else in the mixture will shine through. You don't want that. So you need to get permanent alizarin crimson, not regular alizarin crimson. The permanence is rated A. The best rating is a AA. So this is one below that, but it's still considered permanent. Anything below A, I will not use, period. But I love this color. It's a beautiful, cool red. Next up, we've got sap green. All right, sap green is a warm green. Do you need this color? No. You can mix this if you were to have a cadmium yellow light, an ultramarine, and some red. Sure, you could mix it. But this color I use more than most of my other colors. I use it all the time, especially when painting landscapes. Because I use it so often, I like this, having the shortcut on my palette. I use it for everything from architecture to flowers to landscapes to even portraits. This, in combination with this guy, transparent red oxide, you can get some beautiful grays between the two of these. I use these two pigments for my shadows. So anytime I need a dark mixture, I'll mix complementaries. And this is just one pair amongst a few that I like to use that just brings a beautiful, warm, dark value. But sap green is always on my palette. Oh, and speaking of that color, I actually decided to order 3 new tubes. It's a keeper. Our next pigment is what I like to mix with sap green. It's the transparent red oxide. The reason why I prefer this color over, let's say, a burnt sienna, I prefer it for a couple reasons. One, it actually can make a darker mixture than a burnt sienna, even though they're pretty darn similar in the color. Let's see, they use PR101. Burnt sienna uses PR101. Interesting, it's the same pigment, but 2 different brands. You will find that brands will differ in their mixtures. Winsor & Newton might add, they definitely do add other things to their paints. And sometimes they are more desirable, like in the case of the sap green or the cadmium lemon, but sometimes you try a different brand and it's the exact same pigment, and I prefer this one. So you can sample different pigments as you progress as an artist, and you'll find that you prefer different ones. Woo! All right. All right, I love this color. I had no idea when I first bought this tube that I would use it so often. It is so easy to mix. Okay, you don't need to buy this color if you don't want to, but I highly recommend it because I use it so much. It is what you would refer to as a shortcut color, King's Blue. And it's by Michael Harding. And oh my goodness. Yes, this is one of the more expensive brands, and I don't think you need this color, but golly do I need this color. It is so beautiful. It is a foundational color, and I'll read to you the mixture. So PW6 and dun dun dun. So this is one of my favorite colors, right? But it has PW6 and PW4. Do you know what PW4 is? It's what I was telling you not to buy. It's not titanium white, it's zinc white. It causes cracking. Oh man, maybe that's why I like this. It's ultramarine blue, which I have right here, and titanium white. Really? I may start doing this now. Now that I know that this has zinc in it, I'm just going to do a pre-mixture. You can buy empty tubes and fill them up with your own mixtures. Maybe the reason why I like this is because it does have some transparent qualities, but it is dangerous. You don't want to use too much of this, I guess, because it does have the zinc white. But gosh, it is such a beautiful color. I love it so much. I know I'm telling you to worry about cracking, but when you go to the art museum and you see a cracked painting, are you like, that painting is awful because it's cracked? No, it's just kind of undesirable for each artist. You don't want your paintings to crack, but it could happen. So I may actually try to copy this pigment, and I'll get back to you guys. Comment down below if you knew that. I had no idea this had zinc. Last but not least, actually we have two more. Okay, I'll save that one for last. Next color is a permanence of a AA. That means it's the best. It is raw umber. Some people may look at this and say it's kind of a boring color. It is kind of boring, but it's the foundation for so much. It can harmonize colors, and I really do like dark, kind of gray paintings. So this is a really good base for, I don't want to say it's only for these things, but I use it in flesh tones, I use it in architecture, you can use it for whatever. There is no paint that is built for a specific subject, but being low chroma, or it's not very chromatic, not very intense, it's good for graying things down. I will also like to use this before I start to use ivory black or any blacks. Using this as a base instead of a black prevents you from reaching that intense dark range. I like to do that. I like to slowly build up the range. You start in the middle and then you slowly build out, going to your lights and going to your darks, but you need to save that lightest light and that darkest dark for the very end. So raw umber is a great one. We have reached our last color, and this color is going to be an experiment. It is Naples Yellow Light. So Naples Yellow Light is definitely a shortcut color. Looks pretty easy to mix. I actually got it because I've been painting with Daniel Sprick, and he always has it on his palette. It's just a very simple mixture. It has titanium white, PY 138, so a yellow, and PO 62. It has a permanence of A, and all it is a pale, pale yellow. I've watched Daniel Sprick use this color in his flesh tones when he's painting the figure, and it just allows you to pull a flesh tone a little bit to the yellow side of the spectrum, and also pull it a little lighter than maybe a cadmium yellow would do. So colors like these, I've learned, are mostly applied for those subtle pulls in different directions. Maybe you don't need a really intense shift of color, but I like to mix on the canvas as well as on the palette. Sometimes if I need to mix something on the canvas and make it just a little bit lighter and just a little bit warmer, I'll use this. This is better than adding just white. White can make things chalky. I'm looking forward to using this. I don't think you need to buy this pigment, but I'm gonna have fun with it and see where it goes. See if it reaches that King's Blue level that I will always paint with, even though it has zinc white. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching. I'm gonna use this new palette and I'm gonna get to working on this painting, my work in progress. So if you have any questions about any of the colors that I used here today, or if you have one that you're like, oh my gosh, Tanner, you need to try this, please let me know, comment down below. Make sure to do the like and the subscribing. It really helps us out. We've reached 100 subscribers. We're still climbing, so we'll be coming out with a video every Tuesday and Thursday. I look forward to seeing you there.